Hi everyone, welcome along and thanks for checking out our August Market Watch. The last few weeks have been frustrating with the dollar index remain range bound and dictating play across many of our major markets, especially in our FX majors. So I'm just going to focus on a few key markets which I want you to pay very close attention to in the next week or two and try to avoid some of the ongoing mess, because unfortunately looking forward into August, it's not generally a good month in terms of consistency and momentum. So to try and avoid a lot of the sideways and volatile markets, I want to focus on these markets in particular, because these tend to perform well through August and moving into September. Now, essentially, if we just scroll down and see the average percentage change across our main markets, you'll see here there tends to be not an awful lot of consistency across our major currencies. They range in varying degrees, but generally they are quite messy, with the one key variance being that the Japanese yen. Japanese yen actually has one of its better months of the year, and that's one we're going to take a closer look at. And other market I'm keen on, which has been very depressed in recent weeks, which could liven up as well, is gold. And it's just in the middle of all the metals down through here. It's the only one in green, and we see positive, and it is actually one of the best months of the year. So gold, we're going to take a look at that as well. But something that probably a lot of you aren't familiar with, and a bunch of markets which I really recommend you take a good close look at, is the Treasuries, and particularly the US Treasuries, because we typically have the best period of the year. We're moving into the best period of the year for these markets, and these three particular, the Treasuries, gold and the yen, are very interesting at the moment because they're all very strongly, I can go through periods of being very strongly correlated, and if we start to see a move in any one of these markets, it could trigger a nice move across all three. Just want to show you a few of the seasonal charts just to illustrate what we're looking at. Just scroll down here to the Japanese yen. There we go. You'll see we're moving in to one of the strongest periods for the Japanese yen, coming out of a bit of range through July and end of June into July. Typically now you should start to waken up and liven up a little bit and see some momentum to the upside in yen, which is see it run potentially right through actually into October. On the other side of that is what I was talking about, metals as well. Gold is the only one that's typically positive through the month of August, and you'll see here very strong seasonal performance, both in our weighted average, which sure looks weighted price towards more recent years, but even in the long-term historical average, we typically have a very, very strong performance through August and into September, even since early October, which lines up nicely with the Japanese yen. Now, I say a few markets, or a bunch of markets that a lot of you probably aren't familiar with, but I really recommend you take a look at, because they're very strongly correlated. It can present really nice opportunities in the next few weeks, especially, and it'll allow us to avoid a lot of the messy markets that we currently have, and most likely going to continue to see through the rest of the summer. You'll see here across the majority of the US Treasuries, you'll see here's the 5-year, typically very strong performance. The 10-year actually has typically historically has the strongest performance through this period of the year, and actually can run right through until later. But it's actually the long-term bonds that actually I prefer the chart off, which we'll take a look at in a second. But they would be interesting as well, looking at the seasonal performance through this period. So they're the three main markets I'm going to be focusing on over the next week or two, and we're very close to start to see a potential turnaround on those, even just price action over this last day or two, starting to see yen looking a little bit more bullish, starting to see the Treasuries. I'm just going to bring up a chart of the Treasuries, and this is the chart of the UST bond, the long-term Treasuries, and over the long term, we'll just change it to a weekly chart. You'll see the potential, the big long-term channel that we're in, which is zoom out, big major trend line that we're sitting at, and you can see over on the weekly chart we're starting to for the formation of a potential inverted head and shoulders through here, sitting in a nice period where we're moving into the seasonal bullish period. So this is the chart sitting in a nice position. Seasonally, we're in a nice area, and we're starting to see this market build, I think, and it's just a case of time in our entry into it. I've marked a little area here around 143. If we can see a move above those highs, I'd be interested in looking for longs through here. If you want to wait to a break through the neckline and looking for longs through here, but happy with that as well. But happy to take a small position through here and look to add in as we break through that. And that would be really interesting. There's a few others, obviously the 10-year will be an option, but I actually prefer the chart the way we're sitting at in the T-bonds. So some of you might want to be worth looking at something like the the German bond as well, because we're going to see movement in line with those treasuries, the US treasuries as well. Another thing to back up what we're currently seeing, which is very interesting, is the cut data, especially in the treasuries. I'm just going to pop over and just show you the treasuries for the US 10-year. We can see the chart here at the moment. We've got the cut index here, an extreme reading, and this is the cut index based on a percentage of open interest, which shows actually the commercials are starting to take control of this market. And how we can see this actually in actual positions. If you see that in terms of the buying, we're actually making a new high in buying through here on the commercial side of the positions, whereas the speculators that have been driving this market lower for a good few months, this market's been under a lot of pressure, but you actually see the selling is actually starting to drop down. So we're starting to see this divergence here. That's showing me that the commercials are actually starting to take control of this, and that's why you would see the index in terms of percentage of open interest. The commercials are actually taking control. So the cut data is starting to look very, very bullish, coming into a very strong seasonal period for this market. And it's something I'm going to be very, very close in. I've already been buying into the ETF, but I'll be looking to take leverage positions into this as well over the coming weeks. So that's one definitely put onto the watch list, and you will likely see them move together. Most likely you'll see the market, the Japanese yen, move along with this, and we could see a spark in the movement of gold as well. So pay close attention to those three key markets over the coming week or two, and if one starts to form out a base and a bottom, I think we're going to could see quite a sustained rally across all three. Okay, guys, that's my lot. I will see you again in September, and hopefully we've seen nice moves in these before then.